Do you ever feel like having a Gilmore Girls fall? Or maybe is it Gilmore Girls Autumn?
Oh, I think it's autumn. I absolutely love the thought process of Pharrell to Gilmore Girls.
Hi, I'm the crispy little leaf you just can't wait to step on, Phoebe.
And I'm Jacques,
And welcome to Do You Ever Feel Like?
where we ask the questions that everyone's thinking and no one's answering.
How you doing?
Oh, okay. It's getting to be fall.
It's getting to be fall. The leaves are starting, like I said, I'm a crispy little leaf.
Yeah, you are.
It's
What color are you?
Oh, baby, I'm brown.
Mm.
I'm crispy. I'm an old oak tree, dog. Ooh, that kind of just turned into like some like beat poetry for a second there. Yes, it's
Like
getting
the
to be
beginning of our first episode back, where you just started listing fall things.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I do. I just list fall things. The care and okay, actually, the care and insanity in which I have brought to this episode, I would say in the like level of I wish I decorated a little bit more, but like
Me too.
this is we do a Christmas special, but really we do a fall special. Like really we do a fall
Really, we are
special.
autumnal girls.
Really? Yes. Yes, absolutely. I was walking the dog this morning and like the like watercolor of leaves has arrived at my front door. So it's lovely. It's lovely and crispy out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So nice to sleep with our windows open.
I know.
Delicious.
Heaven. What have you been up to? What's going on? You've been writing a ton.
I've been really writing. I've been writing. I finished the second draft of a script, which sometimes I feel like I'm Adele, and I know like I like to tell myself I'm Adele because it helps. You know what I
love
mean?
to tell yourself you're
I
Adele.
love to tell myself I'm Adele, but I'm not Adele. But
You
I
also
really love
like
to
to
tell
tell
myself I'm
me
Adele.
that I'm Adele, but I'm really
Well,
not.
this is what I tell. Really, I just like to use that to artists in my life when they're feeling like they're not
Yes.
whatever, right? Producing at
Well,
some kind of
we're
rate or
all
like
Adele in a
we're all
sense.
Adele. Yes,
Also,
exactly.
tell the listeners what you mean by this.
Adele has constantly, and we've talked about this before, but Adele always talks about how she is not like she doesn't care really that she like goes away, lives her life for years on end, and then makes an album and
Yeah.
then produces it.
Yeah.
And that like, I don't know, there was like 7 years between two of her albums or
Mm-hmm.
something. And like as an artist, she prefers it that way. She's like, you have to live your life
Yeah.
in order to
Yeah.
like have something to say. And I think that that's beautiful. And I like to tell myself that that's what I'm doing, but it's not. Um, anyways, so I've really appreciated your encouragement though lately. I mean, I've had a lot of artists in my life that are like, okay, let's keep it moving, right?
Yeah.
Um, but you in particular have been like,
Oh, I'm glad. Well,
what's the point if not art? Like what is the
truly, I mean,
point?
I'm glad it's come off that way and not like harassment, bullying,
Oh,
and or
it's been harassment and bullying. Uh, for sure. But the good kind.
the good kind. I mean, I mean, I will say this. I will say to everybody, get your fucking it's like a little bit Kim K. It's like get your fucking ass up and write your goddamn
Hmm.
play. Like, what are you
Hmm.
doing? I'll say
Hmm.
that to everybody, but especially to the people in my life that like say they're trying to do something. I'm like, okay, then fucking do it. Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing I like less in This is so horrible. There's nothing I like less in a person.
No, you have a very low tolerance
For just
for,
chatting,
yeah, just
for
chatting.
just like,
Mhm.
oh, I have this great idea. And I have like people in my life that are like, oh, I have this idea to do this really cool thing, or like, I'm going to do this. I'm like, oh, wow, great. And then they just don't. And, you
Yeah,
know, there's a difference between not doing one thing one time and just like like I cannot
yeah.
handle being around people. It just feels like you're lying. That's what it feels like to me. I know it's
Mm.
not. I know people, you know, I understand life. Um, but
Mhm.
I'm like, truly, what are we all here for if not to experience the like magic, joy, and beauty of creation? Like,
Yeah,
what are we up to otherwise?
absolutely.
So
Hmm.
anyway, well, I'm glad it's come off. I'm glad
Kind.
it's helpful. I'm glad it actually not even helpful. I'm glad it got you the end result.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I like I follow this artist, and I came across this video, and this artist was basically like, you're going insane because you're not making art, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a misconception, right? I think that's what we do to ourselves. We say, like, oh, I have to be
Oh,
in a place
totally.
to make art, whether that's like quote unquote a good place or quote unquote a bad place, right?
Yeah.
Like I have to be in some kind
Yes.
of place
Oh,
to access this,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And that's not true. And actually, whether or not, like, actually being in the good or being in the bad is actually dependent on if you're making the thing, if you're an artist. So I think that was an interesting thing to come across too when I was like, oh God, I really don't want to do this.
Mm,
Like, you
yeah.
know,
I love
yeah,
that. Oh, I so agree. I mean, like I think we all have the fantasy of like going to a cabin in the woods and writing
right,
for, you know, long, expansive,
right.
uninterrupted times where like the conditions are ideal. But I would love, has anyone ever done anything in ideal conditions? I think it's a great way to just make sure you never fucking do anything.
Exactly.
It's just
Yeah.
a great way to do
Yeah.
that. So, anyway, I'm
Also, like,
glad.
there is no such thing as an ideal condition for anything.
No,
Like,
exactly. Like boarding an
yeah,
airplane. There's no
yeah,
there's no ideal condition.
none,
It's
none,
so
none,
funny.
none.
It's like we'll talk ourselves into like having kids in unideal or like
Wild.
doing like really big life things like marriage, children, like
Yes.
I don't know, fucking boob jobs. Like I
Yeah.
don't even know what else. Like just
Yeah.
like things that are like timeline altering, but like with our art, we're like, uh, I ca- I can't.
Yeah, I
I can't. I mean,
know.
I do the same fucking thing all the time,
Right,
and
of
it's
course.
insane. It's insane. What can happen in like 10 minutes is far more magical, in my opinion, than like, I don't know, 3 days alone in the woods,
Yeah.
truly. So,
Yeah.
anyway, oh, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. And also, I wouldn't be like, we're friends because you
Oh, yeah.
harass me. Like, it's not in spite of your harassment. Like, let's be honest
Yeah.
here.
Well,
Like,
there's a certain, I think, you know, it's like when a friend calls and asks, like, oh, I'm having this question. It's like, well, you could call many other people in your life, but you
exactly.
called me. So I feel like you
Yes.
might know what kind of answer you're
Hmm.
going to get. So I think that's what I do for most of my friendships is not tolerate a lot of shit.
Yes.
But at the
When
same
you
time,
need a
my
good kick in the ass
yeah,
or a good talking to,
yeah, call
1
Phoebe
800 Phoebe Taylor.
for a bad time. Call.
Be slapped in the face by the truth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Call Phoebe
Yeah.
Taylor.
To get a real dose of something. Anyway, I'm glad.
How are you?
I'm fine. I went to the eye doctor saying my eyes feel fucking crazy. Look at my
You're
eyes. Look
just
at my eyes
going
right
to the
now.
doc this week.
Do you see how giant they are?
They are, yeah.
It's
I was,
gross.
I was,
I'm going to the doc. It's like a whole thing this week. It's painful.
I've been
Yeah,
question
my
mark
eyes look
if
crazy
you're
right
high or
now.
not until this moment that you told me that you went to
I
the
get
eye
asked,
doctor.
I get asked if I'm high a lot, and I never am. I never am. It's
You
just
get
my
asked about
personality.
your because of your
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, it's just because it's me.
Because you wear floral pants.
Because I
People
wear
assume you're
floral
high.
pants and
Yeah.
shout at people to write plays. Like, that's why. And like giggle way too loudly. So no, not high, just dilated. Is that what that is?
That's yeah. I definitely was like, oh.
And glossy. I always love it too where they put those drops in. They're like, "Did you drive?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she just goes, "Oh, well, be careful."
Oh, well.
I'm like,
Anyways.
across town, but yeah, thank you. Um,
Mhm.
but yes, let us get into it. Speaking of going to the eye doctor, I was in my stupid little hometown today,
Ugh.
which is like the only way. Here's how I describe my hometown. I've talked about it on the pod before.
Mm.
Is it is Stars Hollow.
Yes.
It is Stars Hollow.
Yes.
It's not even just Stars Hollow adjacent. It's wackadoo. My mom was like I couldn't even describe her real role but she like worked for the town when I was a kid. And so like
Was
everybody
your mom
knew
Taylor?
my mom was Taylor. My mom was Taylor. And like everybody knew me and everyone knew my mom, obviously. Like all the like little shops along the street, everyone knew my mom, but like everyone knew me because of that. And I remember, I think I've said this on the pod before, when I would like skip school, my people would be like,
Oh, yeah.
I would come home at the end of the day and she'd be like, so-and-so saw you walking downtown today at like 11:30 a.m. Why? And I was like, ugh.
You're like,
I want to go smoke cigarettes in the cemetery with a boy, Mom. Leave me alone.
Yeah, duh.
But I was in my stupid little small town that I hated so much. Okay, feel like I should back it up with some sort of. I call it a stupid little small town because as a teenager, that's hell.
Oh, hell.
But as an adult woman who loves a latte and a selection of mums and a weekend activity.
Yes.
Fuck, is it charming?
Yes.
I now understand the appeal, and I have to actively stop myself from moving back there constantly because I would not like it. So, my question for you this week is, do you ever feel like having a Gilmore Girls fall? Or maybe is it Gilmore Girls Autumn?
Oh, I think it's autumn.
Mm-hmm.
And
do you ever feel like having a Gilmore Girls Autumn?
yes. What is Gilmore Girls without autumn? What is autumn
without autumn?
Without Gilmore Girls? Absolutely.
I can't.
Yeah. There is no. I mean, my nephew felt the crisp of the cold air.
That's right. That's
in
so
Arizona.
Cute.
Was like, oh,
what's that? 90 degrees
exactly
instead of 100.
87. And was like, oh, Mom, it's Gilmore Girls. Gilmore Girls time.
So
and my
cute.
sister sent me this photo of him eating his sandwich, watching Gilmore Girls.
That's so cute. I love that he knows.
Oh, he knows.
That is so freaking cute.
I know.
That is so sweet. Exactly. And I kind of wanted to, like, in this question today, I kind of want to, like, in my annual rewatch, which, like, I feel like Gilmore Girls and Sex and the City, I'm just, like, constantly watching.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just constantly, I call it a rewatch, but I feel like.
No. It's just
I should take it out of, it's just ongoing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just an ongoing pursuit of content. So last year in our fall, in our Gilmore Girls, it's not even just autumn. It's not even an autumn episode. It's a Gilmore Girls episode specifically. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to, like, why is it that this show has such a, like, death grip on autumn? And, like, how did it become synonymous with, wool tights and a turtleneck but like on a nice sunny day.
Yeah.
Because it's like turning it on. I think it's what, like the first episode of season 2 is like, is it season 2? Also, we're going to get into your disgusting knowledge of the show. I think the first shot of episode 1 of season 2 is like all those fucking yellow daisies, and it's like summer. So I kind of want to talk about, you know, why is it that the show is like it's like fall, autumn. Ugh, I feel like I really need to use the word autumn because it's not fall. It's autumn.
It's autumn. Yeah.
Epitomized, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to like, what are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts on why it's autumn epitomized? Yeah, last year we talked about this. It's a show about nothing. And
it's a
so
show about
like
nothing.
And so it's very it's easy, it's comforting in the same way that you want to like snuggle up with a pumpkin something in the fall. It gives the same kind of comforting.
Yeah. It's kind of like nostalgia for something you have not right. I mean, like you didn't grow up in A Star's Hollow, but like we all have like this like nostalgic wanting, even if that isn't our own memories.
Yes.
Kind of thing. Like that's what I find kind of fascinating about this show is it's like it can take us to a time and place, or like your nephew who lives in Arizona and has I'm assuming just no fall. No fall.
No fall leaves. Yeah.
Like has this I find that fascinating. So like obviously the first shot of the intro is like, you know, the leaves, a nice little East Coast leaf moment.
Yes.
And like each season would come out in the fall. Like these are, I don't know, I just like these are all my hypotheses about like why we fucking love fall so much, and love to get down with it.
Yeah. I mean, the comeback, whatever, what is that term?
Yeah, reboot, is that what they call it?
Thank you. The best episode was fall. For a reason.
I have not touched that since it came out.
Well,
that is not my Gilmore Girls.
Winter, spring.
Just like that is not my Sex in the City.
Winter, spring, summer, fall. Here's what I'll say. I hear you. The reboot is not your Gilmore Girls. Respect that. However, the fall episode of the reboot is Amy Sherman Palladino's Gilmore Girls. Amy Sherman Palladino wasn't able to end the show the way that she wanted to end the show with the CWWB fiasco. So
were they ending at like that strike?
They did not produce season 7.
Oh, and that's fascinating.
I think they didn't produce
I find
season
shows
7. It was like it was like 5. It's either 5 or 6 is where like things start going awry. Yeah. And then someone else kind of like took over.
Oh, and that's interesting.
I think maybe in season 6, and then it didn't really get past.
I mean, the last
7.
2 seasons are horrible.
Yeah.
They're horrible.
Yeah.
I find that so interesting, like shows, because we're in that, like, you know, we're obviously in another writer's strike still. Or again, but I find shows that got caught up in just, I just think it's so interesting. Like, I really loved Californication, and like, I think it's season 2 or something like that. Like the first season's so great, and then like season 2 they got, or just like any kind of production industry thing. So I think it's interesting when we go back and like watch media, it's like we have to consider the time that it was made in, not just like culturally for like context, but like how industry affects things. Fascinating. That is very interesting.
Yesterday, actually, the WGA strike ended.
Oh, how did I miss that?
After 150 days, they've come to the table with some agreements.
That is fast. I totally missed that.
I mean, you were in a parking garage going to the doctor. Like,
was in a parking garage.
I understand. You were not on this planet. So, like, that's fine.
Yeah, I was in an X-File yesterday. Exactly. That's what being in a parking garage where makes me think. I'm like, fuck, there's going to be something that comes from a vent somewhere. Yeah. And I'm going to have to solve the mystery.
Exactly. Totally. You were not in this reality yesterday. So I understand. It's so true. I think, yeah, right. And like, that's like kind of the core thing of like, you know, and who cares about like online chat or blah, 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 blah. But like the argument, quote unquote, or like the thing I kept seeing over and over of like, you know, the Miranda Priestley line of, oh, you think this has nothing to do with you? You know what I mean? Like, thing, yes. Right? Like, yeah. Of like, oh, no, this has to do with every single one of us that consume anything.
It has to do with any kind, and any kind of labor.
Yes, too. Exactly.
Oh, I can't. This is such a tangent. We have to like
stop.
not
Gilmore Girls
because I could talk so much about it. But anyway, yes, Gilmore Girls, fascinating. That is very fascinating.
Yes. So that's why I was into the reboot, because I knew that last, you know, hour and a half was what Amy saw for the show that she wasn't able to do with the first round.
That's very interesting. Okay, so I kind of want to talk about like being a fall girl.
Okay.
Which
I would also like to talk about this concept of girl on another podcast.
I know. We can be fall women. I will allow for it.
Will you allow? Great.
Well, it is. I feel like it's not completely. I don't feel like it's a completely different tangent, because there is something. I don't know what. If a man calls me a girl, it's like wackadoo. It's wackadoo.
Yeah.
But there is something like, if I get to call myself a girl, like, or like the girlies, you know, you and I are the girlies. Our group chat is for the girlies. Mm-hmm. You know, like that's a very different thing. So I will allow you to be an autumn woman. Great. And even in this, so I want to talk about Christian Girl Autumn. And
oh God.
And I think the concept of, oh no, because I do feel like Gilmore Girl Fall and Christian Girl Autumn, they reach across the table.
Yeah, this is what the internet does. Absolutely. And maybe not even the internet. Yeah.
Because I think one can have a Christian Girl Autumn without being girl or Christian.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And like,
if you put on your sleeper nightgown and like light that candle, as one of my friends told me the other day, right? Like, yeah, for sure.
I want a dumbass Pharrell hat. I want one of those big, I want a big infinity scarf. And like, I want to return to tradition. Like, I want to return to Tumblr 2012, just girly things, and spend some fucking money on some fucking pumpkin shit. Yeah. You know, to me, that is synonymous with Gilmore Girl Autumn as well.
Oh, yeah, it is. For sure. Mm-hmm.
I want a stupid Pharrell hat. I want a stupid ass Pharrell hat. Like, that's what those... But then also, and then I do look at, I've like tried them on in stores before. And you know what, listener, peace and love. If you got one of those, I was thinking of it today. I was in Aritzia the other day, which I realized is a Canadian company when we were having a conversation about it. So I don't know if you'll get this reference, but I was in Aritzia the other day, and there was this fucking infinity scarf that was so popular when I was in high school. Yeah. And it's like this like blue, and like I bet you so many of our Canadian listeners will have know at least what I'm talking about, but I bet you have one in your closet. It was like this blue like jacquard weave scarf, and it was like a muted blue. And then like the opposite side, like the other woven bit, was like this like tanny gray color. And I think it had some tassels. It was fugly. But if you had that scarf, oh my God, were you popular as shit? You were rich. You were cool. You were thin. You were white. Like it was status, and I was in
You
a
were
ritzy the other
Lorelai
day.
Gilmore.
You were Lorelai Gilmore, but the year was 2010.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was in Aritzia the other day, and I saw them for sale again, and I was like, ah!
Oh no.
But I think there's something so interesting about like this time of year. It's like I feel like any personality or style or like the fucking Pharrell hat like has a chokehold on me, even though it's like so not my vibe.
Yeah.
Not really interested in it, but I'm like, I go into stores and I'm like, do I buy a giant felt hat and have a Christian Girl Autumn?
Here's the thing. Like the trickle down from the Pharrell hat to the Christian Girl Autumn, I can't believe I just said that sentence out loud, is quite interesting because the Pharrell hat is not the Christian Girl hat. There's actually a distinct difference. There's actually...
Okay, I'm not talking about Pharrell for real.
Okay,
like, I think Pharrell wears like what I think is technically a fedora. And a fedora is not what you are imagining in your mind right now. Also, the hat style, it's just wide brim and felt.
A wide brim felt hat.
Yeah.
Yes, I
like
understand.
Lady Gaga's. What's that? Was it Joanne? That album?
Oh yeah, exactly.
You know? Like that nonsense. Like I go, oh, do I?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
do I pull my socks up over my ripped jeans?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Do I grab for the knee-high boots?
Yes, exactly.
Do I get the skinny jeans out? And the pumpkin spice industrial complex, I think we can like insert this into here. Again, like these like okay, but I want to talk about the reason why we were gathered here today.
We are gathered here today
because I'm fascinated, and I feel like I'm shouting also in my house right now.
Because you had a cookie.
I had a cookie, and I feel crazy in my eyeballs right now. I've also had so much coffee today.
I could tell. You want to talk about Gilmore Girls, you're like, ooh, let's prep. Let's drink a lot of coffee.
I pulled a Lorelai Gilmore today. I mean, that's another thing. They drink coffee so damn late in that show. That can't be good for your digestive tract.
Nothing they do is good for anything. No.
Okay, the reason why we're gathered here today is because I find as both a participant and like a little bit, it's like a little bit meta all the time. I feel like that's what we do on this podcast. It's like I participate in these things, but I find it so interesting that I feel like I kind of abandoned my values almost in Autumn. Like, I hate crap. I hate spending money. Capitalism can go choke on something. And yet, if I see a ghost pot and I can open up its head and put shit in it, like I want it. I want it.
Yeah.
And so I guess maybe like another question is like, why does the pumpkin spice industrial complex have this, I don't know, it's like, again, like this nostalgia for things that maybe we don't even, we've never had or like don't participate in or like typically aren't people who, like I don't decorate my house for Easter, but like I did consider an autumn leaf wreath the other day.
Right, exactly. Well, I mean, I also think autumn is a time for like the bounty, you know? So I think it's
Ooh.
There's so much of stuff, you know,
Yeah.
like going in with that too, right? I mean, I've been thinking about this since we did the Bridezilla episode, this idea of like traditions, rituals, like having to define our lives by something, right? I don't know, like the harvest, the bounty. We look at everything and say, ooh, great. You know what I mean?
That is
like,
so interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's so interesting. It's interesting you say that. I was doing a little bit of research about pumpkin spice in particular. And as always, we'll have our notes in the description.
Yeah, where the fuck did this shit come from? That is a great...
So I was like,
Yeah.
where, what, how? Like,
Yes.
how did we end up here, you know, as a culture? So Starbucks launched the pumpkin spice latte in 2003, but it wasn't until about 2008 when it's like shit kind of exploded. And I think I'm going to link a Forbes article here that kind of breaks down like the categories of spending and kind of where these things come up. And then also like the Google. It's really interesting to look at like the Google search analytics of pumpkin spice. But anyway, 2008 was like 2008 between 2015 is when things really peaked, which also coincided with the housing crisis and the stock market crash as well. And I think that's really interesting. I find that really interesting that fall, whatever your concept of fall is kind of this like season. It's like the season of the senses. It's like the season of nostalgia. It's this season of comfort, and like it's like romantic and cozy. And so at a time which I feel like, you know, we're living in again, at a time where shit's fucking bad. Like bad everywhere we look. You know, like there are a record number of strikes happening right now. Almost every single union I can possibly think of in my hometown is like had some sort of strike within the last year. At a time when like the world is so bad, we can spend $4 to $7 and have a little like spicy comfort. Like it makes sense at the same time.
I wonder if that's where the weird like Dave Ramsey shit came from.
What's
like
the weird Dave Ramsey shit?
Do you know who Dave Ramsey is? Dave Ramsey is like this like stupid, he's not, whatever, like financial expert man. This like rich white guy.
I'm going to talk about that in a second. I'm going to talk about, yeah.
And he basically says to us millennials, like, if you stop ordering your $8 coffee, then you can afford to buy a home.
Yes.
And that's interesting. Wonder if that's contributes to that idea.
Well, I think it's so funny you say that, because there was just one of the Shark Tank in the States?
I don't
remember.
Idea.
I think Dragon's Den is Canadian or something like that. I think it was the Dragon's Den guys. One of those guys on one of those shows, I can't remember his name, whatever, we'll put it, but he has like a call-in show on the internet right now. So people will call in with financial advice. And the advice that he gives is idiotic. Like it's idiotic financial advice, and we have to stop listening to these billionaires about money and what we should do with our money, because it's wackadoo. And like absolutely. And it's like, if you know, I'm not the first person to do this, but I do this often. I feel crap about how much money I spend at cafes, and I'll do the math. I'll look at my budget and I go, even if I like, you know, maybe that's $100, it's not enough of a difference in getting ahead. Like a couple, you know, at the end of the year, like a couple $100 is not going to make up for like huge wealth disparity.
Yeah, no,
like it's
exactly.
not going to make up for. So
exactly.
I do think this like these trends are, I don't know, like just finding comfort wherever we can. It's like, oh, of course we're going to turn on Gilmore Girls, blast our eyeballs with these scenes of fall, and like mainline some cinnamon into ourselves. Like,
yeah. Exactly.
Same.
And I think the like comfort of being alive, or like the pleasure of being alive, is like what the Gilmore Girls do.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
oh, yeah.
There's no shame around just like sitting on the couch, eating your cupboard full of snacks, and
it's like a mirror, really.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, I also think, for all the complicated shit Gilmore Girls is, the representation of that, of like women being gluttonous, foul-mouthed, sexual, on, you know what I mean, on not HBO, right? On
and again,
cable television, too. Exactly, that was marketed to young adults, right? Is a big deal. And I mean, I think that's definitely part of the comfort thing. Like, oh, having a Gilmore Girls night means like replicating this world, right?
Yeah.
Too.
I wanted to kind of craft a guide, so to speak, about how to have a Gilmore Girls autumn, drawing upon your knowledge of the Gilmore Girls. So, I'm looking at the feelings wheel here.
Oh, lovely.
And I'd love to know, Jacqueline, if I want to have a joyful Gilmore Girls Autumn. Which episode might I switch on? You don't have to be specific. You can give us plot points too.
Okay. No, I think I know. Okay. There's two coming up in my mind. One is that damn Donna Reed, which is in season 2.
Okay.
Season 1.
I think season 1.
Season 1. Oh yeah, Newly Dean.
Yeah.
Yes. And then another one is, even though it's technically in the winter, the Bracebridge dinner.
Oh yes, absolutely. That's a great one.
Those bring
can
me
you give
joy.
like a one sentence synopsis of both of those episodes?
Oh yes. So the Bracebridge dinner. Speaking of like billionaires, I don't know, someone has. Like,
I want to be the
inn.
Bracebridge group so bad. I didn't know Bracebridge group was a choice of career, and that's me. Are you kidding me? That's me renting out an entire hotel to put on a Ren Fair experience. Mm-hmm. If you don't think that's the Do You Ever Feel Like Fucking Staff Retreat, you can get out of here right now.
I mean, based on the video that we just posted on the internet, like I think people understand the vibes. I hope, or at least I hope. They cancel. The Bracebridge group cancels, and then, they've been preparing for like the inn to be bought out. And so like Suki creates the suggestion of inviting the whole town. And so it's like this, like, it's like a play within a play, right? It's like,
it's like, Ren Fair, Nightmare Factory.
Yeah. And it's like funny and like weird, and like, it's like everything Gilmore Girls is supposed to be, kind of, right?
Yeah.
And then that damn Donna Reed, again, right? Like it's a theatrical, this is saying a lot about myself. It's like a play within a play. The Donna Reed show is the Donna Reed show. Like, I don't think 50s. And Dean gets introduced to it by Lorelai and Rory, and then they like fight about women and labor and the traditional home, and then Rory abandons all of us and puts on a Donna Reed costume.
Rory loses me right then and
there. Exactly. This is like one of the first moments of like, oh Jesus. And then they have this little like Donna Reed 50s moment, but the best part of that episode is when her science experiment chick gets loose, and it's like the first kindlings of Lorelai and Luke trying to find the chick in the house.
Delicious.
Yeah. Those are two good ones. Those both bring me like joy.
Those are good ones. If I was gonna kind of have like I can't really think of, maybe like kind of like a sad girl, kind of like the feelings wheel didn't really provide me with what I wanted. Maybe like grief is kind of like sad, but I'm like cozy, sad, but I'm like, I don't know, maybe depressed. Actually, if I'm gonna have a depressed Gilmore Girls Autumn, what might I do? What might I watch?
You are going to watch The Incredible Sinking Lorelais on season 4, which is about how Rory is being told to cut a class at college, and Lorelai is trying to get the inn open and is losing money and is called out by her grandmother for quote unquote being a failure with the Gilmore name. That's what you're gonna watch.
I cannot fucking believe. I mean, I know this is how we wrote this episode, but I still cannot fucking believe that I can ask you these questions. And not only do you have like a plot answer for me, but like the episode titles. Fascinating. Okay. Is there any other final last words of Gilmore Girls, how to have a Gilmore Girls Autumn that we want to leave our listener with?
I mean, nothing. A Gilmore Girls Autumn is not complete, I think, without, well, a couple of things. I think a couple of episodes that we haven't mentioned have to be considered.
Okay.
One is oh my God, and I'm like gonna break my record now. Is the dance marathon episode.
Oh, yeah.
You have to watch the Dance Marathon episode, and then you have to watch the Thanksgiving episode, which come close to each other because the Dance Marathon episode is when Jess and Rory get together, and then the a deep fried Korean Thanksgiving is the Thanksgiving episode where they go to the different houses on Thanksgiving. Yeah. I think those have to be part of having a Gilmore Girls fall.
I love it.
Also, having a Gilmore Girls fall, I think, too, is about, like, not giving a flying fuck. You know what I mean?
I mean, really, to embrace Christian Girl Autumn, it requires it's like you surpass, like, self-awareness into nirvana, quite frankly. You know? Like, these women, I see you out there. You don't have a care in the world.
None.
You know? Your
None.
shit does not stink.
Lorelai does not give a shit. And neither does Rory.
No. That's an incredible point. Dissociate. Frontal lobe lobotomies.
That's what fall is, right? Like, I literally texted you yesterday. Or no, why would I say yesterday? That was last week. And I was like, I am in a Lowe's disassociating, staring at mums, because that is fall.
Yeah, fall is for, I guess really what we're talking about is pre-hibernation, really.
Right. Exactly.
You know, let us reject modernity, return to tradition, and
see the harvest, can the harvest, rest.
Yeah. Gorgeous. Well, that was insane of us. This was an insane episode. This was a literally insane episode.
I absolutely love the thought process of Pharrell to Gilmore Girls. I think that is great. That's good, like, promo somehow.
Get to Pharrell. Get from Gilmore Girls to Pharrell.
We did it.
6 degrees of, we did it. We did it. We certainly did something.
Yeah.
We certainly did something.
Yep.
Well, okay, bye.
Go have a Gilmore Girls Autumn.
Thank you for listening to Do You Ever Feel Like?
Follow this chaos wherever you get your podcasts.
Our artwork is by Simon Peng. Do You Ever Feel Like is produced by Jacqueline Wills
and Phoebe Taylor. You can follow us on Instagram at DoYouEverPod.
You can write to us at doyoueverpod@gmail.com. Okay, bye!